Yeah, this is really an exciting time for the Miami market right now currently. If you don't know, Miami is only about 115 years old. Because it's such a young community, there's plenty of opportunity here. So people are coming here from all over the world, whether they're developing, they're investing, or they're basically just watching to see what exactly we're doing down here in the Miami market. The expectations are is that Miami will emerge as one of the great global cities around the world, somewhere up in the same ranks of a Hong Kong, of a London, or some of the other great cities you think of when you think of global type of cities. And because of that, we have these developers who are trying to build, and as these developers are trying to build, they ultimately need the support of some of the individuals who have the money and are willing to sort of prove that they have a commitment or at least some sort of optimism about the Miami market. And these individuals are coming here, they're buying condominiums, and lo and behold, they're able to take advantage of this big crest of this tidal wave of new development that's overall occurring down here in Miami and all throughout the South Florida area. A lot of people think of Florida, when they think of Florida, they think of Mickey Mouse and they think of Walt Disney World. Well, if you spend any time in Miami versus what you'll experience in Orlando, you'll find this completely different. When you come into Miami, you'll come to realize that this is actually a global community. It's about 5.6 million people or so. It's the largest region in all of the state of Florida. If you don't know, the state of Florida is now bigger than the state of New York. It's actually surpassed the state of New York. So while New York is shrinking or not growing as fast, Florida and primarily Miami is growing rapidly. And as this area changes, we're seeing businesses from all over the world that are coming here, they're setting up shop, and they're ultimately trying to take advantage of everything that we have to offer in terms of amenities. Our amenities have to do with the weather, as we all know. It has to do with the multiculturalism here in South Florida, especially in the Miami area. You may or may not be aware, about 51% of the people who live in Miami-Dade County, they're actually were born in a foreign country. So it doesn't really matter what country you come from, chances are you're gonna be able to find your little piece of where you come from. Roughly about 4 out of every 5 people who live in the Miami area, they were born and raised somewhere else. So 51% were born in a foreign country, and about 4 out of 5 were born somewhere else, and now they're calling Miami home. So this gives a lot of optimism for business leaders, for investors, and ultimately for people who sort of have a vision looking forward rather than behind. It's not to say that the New Yorks of the world don't have a place, because they ultimately will, but what's exciting about Miami is you can come here, you can make a name for yourself. Instead of going to New York and trying to get past 20 people and waiting 30 years to accomplish it, in Miami you can do it relatively quickly if you have the dedication, you have the work ethic, and ultimately you're open-minded to working with people from all over the world. So that is what brought me here to Miami in 1993. Been on the ground for about 22 years or so, and basically don't regret it. I just wish that I would have come a little bit earlier, and that's typically what most people will tell you as they come to Miami and they start to embrace it. Now we have a bunch of exciting things going on in Miami right now because we're such a young community. We're sort of figuring out what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. There's a real initiative right now on public infrastructure. There are initiatives to try to bring passenger rail service, which will allow you to live in any part of South Florida, basically be able to jump on a train and take it all the way down to downtown Miami. You can also take this train theoretically from the way it's being promoted. You could take it to do shopping. You could go for restaurants. You could do a variety of different things. The train system that people are so excited about will have stops in downtown Fort Lauderdale, it'll have stops in Aventura, it'll have stops in West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, the design district of Miami. So virtually any place that you as a visitor would like to see while you're here in Miami, you're going to be able to take a train there. And why is that important? Well, because of financial. If you don't necessarily want to pay the prices for the high-end real estate, you can still have access to it, and you can end up in a place that's a little bit more comfortable for you. So if you don't want the high density and the high rise of maybe downtown Miami, you can live in a place like Fort Lauderdale, which is a little bit of a different feel, a little bit of a different pace, and it's just a train ride away. If you don't want to drive, and if you want to drive, obviously this is a community built on roads, it's built on automobiles, and it's built on sort of getting from one place to another. So these are some of the exciting things that are going on in South Florida today, and especially the Miami area. If you're looking at the condominium market, I would encourage you to sort of do your homework, do some due diligence. I encourage you to check out our website, which is cranespotters.com, and there you're going to be able to sort of track anything and everything that's coming down the pike. Now, during our cycle, which began in 2011, really what we're finding is some of the top architects from around the world are all starting to come here, and they're all starting to put their fingerprint, their thumbprint, if you will, on what the Miami market's all about. We have some of the real high-end type of designers, whether it has to do with a gentleman like Richard Meyer or a group like BIG or Big or some of the others that are all sort of playing. People are coming here, they're putting their fingerprints and they're putting their thumbprint on the Miami area, and as these decades go by and theoretically the centuries go by, this moment in time in Miami is really pretty dramatic. The Miami New Construction Show is a innovative idea. It's a disruptive technology. Why? Because what it does is it's trying to bring together all of the different developers in one single location and allow you, the buyer, to be able to shop instantly. immediately. So rather than wandering around from one sales center to another sales center to another, trying to collect all this information, you can effectively descend upon the Miami Beach Convention Center. You can spend a day or you can spend 3 or 4 days there, and you can shop for any and every condominium project that's currently being offered in South Florida. So it's all about efficiency. It's all about creating transparency. It's all about creating a clearinghouse. So rather than fly into town in Miami and spend the week going around shopping and looking for pre-construction condo towers, you can basically come here. You can spend the same week, but you can probably knock it out and find what you want to find in terms of information, maybe even cut a deal in probably about a day, 2 days, maybe even 3 days, and use the rest of the time to sort of soak up the whole South Florida and Miami culture. That's everything from entertainment to its bars, to its culture, to its just laying on the beach. There's nothing wrong with that. We also have some really top-notch restaurants. We have a variety of different chefs who are here, who are doing a variety of different things that are sort of exciting. It's very hard to turn on the television and not see some sort of snippet or some sort of piece about the Miami market, whether it has to do with restaurants or has to do with anything else. We're really a hip city, we're a growing city, and we have a lot of things going on. So I would encourage you to come check out the Miami New Construction Show. Give yourself about a week. Plan on 3 days for the new construction show. You're gonna get all the information necessary to buy pre-construction. During that course of time, you might even be able to sign a contract, and the rest of the time, you go out and you sort of soak up and you experience what is Miami and what makes this the next great global city. You know, if you're a visitor to Miami, some of the benefits that you ultimately can enjoy is, first and foremost, if you're worried about financial, you can take advantage of the fact that we have the U.S. financial system here. We have an infrastructure that around the world people sort of look forward to and something they seek out. Now, when you go away from the U.S. financial district, what you're going to find is we have an infrastructure, whether it be roads or it be airplanes, it be anything, ocean, cruise ships, a variety of different things. It's all here in place. It's all second nature. You're not worried about electricity. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? You're not going to worry about your air conditioning. All that stuff is sort of a given. But what's interesting about living in Miami and living in South Florida is you have this ability to have predictability. You have the ability to walk outside, be able to wear jewelry, not worry about which watch you have on, not what jewelry you're wearing. Is someone going to steal it? Is something else going to happen like maybe you'll find in certain countries around the world? This is a place where you can feel comfortable and you can experience it, and you can basically show off and showcase everything you have to offer. Now, financially, if you want to come to South Florida and you want to come and live in the state of Florida, you should know that Florida is one of the few states in the United States that does not have an income tax. So if you make any income here and you are a resident of Florida, you will not pay state income tax. If you go to other cities and states around the country, you're going to find that that income tax can be relatively high. This is why we're seeing a migration of individuals coming from California and New York, places where there's high income tax. They're coming here, they're claiming residency in Florida, and they're taking advantage of that. Now, from a cost of living perspective, how does Miami sort of compare, or how does South Florida compare to the rest of the country? Well, I would tell you first and foremost, it is a southern state. It is going to be a little bit cheaper, generally speaking. It's not a union state. Therefore, it's a right to work state. That means that the employer can do what the employer wants to do, the employee can do what the employee wants to do, and lo and behold, it tends to be a little bit more reasonably priced than maybe living in some of our biggest competitors from a market perspective, and that would be New York City and/or California. So financially, Miami and South Florida really sort of offer some tremendous opportunities, and it's not a mistake and it's not a surprise that companies and individuals from some of the key cities of the United States are all picking up and they're heading this way because they want to take advantage of everything we have to offer as a community, as well as the fact that we don't have a state income tax. You know, the inaugural Miami New Construction Show was a work in progress. It was something nobody really sort of knew what would happen. We all sort of agreed and recognized that there was a tremendous need to have a Miami New Construction Show. If you're not aware of what goes on in South Florida, basically we have some big shows that everybody goes to year after year after year. One of them is going to be the Miami Beach Boat Show. The other one is going to be the South Beach Food and Wine Festival. Another one is ultimately going to be the car show. And then our final show is going to be the Art Basel. Art Basel goes on. And these are events that are hallmark events. Individuals, they plan on their calendar once a year. They're going to come in for these particular events. But what was lacking in South Florida and what was lacking in Miami was a new construction show. So Anita Funtech, this entrepreneur who has a background in economy, somebody who's worked for some large financial conglomerates around the world, she came here just like most people do. She was able to see it with a clear vision, but was able to understand that there was really a lack, there was a need, there was a deficit for some sort of area or some sort of clearinghouse where individuals could get together, and if you were a seller and you were a buyer, you could sort of meet and you could sort of cut through a lot of the red tape, if you will, and kind of make it happen. So my experience the first time, I didn't really know what to expect. I was very excited to be involved with what Anita was doing and support her and support the industry trying to put on this new construction show. And I have to tell you, my first year I was very impressed. What impressed me most is the fact that Anita was able to create a collection of not only brand new condo towers that are going up in South Florida, but also supplement it and complement it with an educational aspect of it. I run the committee that oversees the speakers. What we do is we bring in some rock star speakers, some keynotes, if you will, that are really worth watching, really worth listening, because they're giving you big pictures of ideas. So when you come to the Miami New Construction Show, you have the ability to not only shop for a condominium and to talk to developers who are building this product, but you also have the ability to sit in on some of the presentations and listen to what some of the experts are saying about market conditions, what they're talking about in terms of architecture. They're talking about Miami's area or its focus in the big picture global community, if you will. So it's really a great combination of education and marketplace and bringing it all together in a fantastic climate, which is the Miami Beach Convention Center, at a perfect time of year, which is October of 2015.